Hello everyone, it's the Touch Knot. Thanks for being with us. It's MacGillivray month in July, so I thought I would take another look at this book with you. I think this is going to be the third, no, this is the fourth reading from the MacGillivray chapter of a book from Charles Fraser Mackintosh from 1898 called Minor Steps of Clanhatton. Alright, this is a little bit of a, it's going to be a little choppy because parts of this is lists and things of his tenants and their sums of rent due and such. I am going to read parts that I can get through without any of that if we can do it. Right then, the MacGillivrays took an active part in the Rising of 1715. The Laird and his brother William were captain and lieutenant respectively in the Clanhatton regiment, while there was another Farquhar MacGillivray, also lieutenant. The two former at least got off, but one, John MacGillivray, apparently of good standing, was tried and convicted on 25th January and executed at Wigan, 10th February 1716. This Farquhar was a leading man under Lachlan and William Mackintosh, chiefs of the Clanhatton, and did much to bring about the agreement with Macpherson's in the year 1724. He received from Lachlan Mackintosh a few of the Davok of Bach-Reuben in Doris, which he parted with to Fraser of Bach-Reuben, the dominium utile, ultimately falling into the hands of William Fraser of Balnain, whose posterity still retain it. He was an excellent man of business, but in interfering too much with other people's affairs, his own became involved. He died in 1740, but his wife Elizabeth Mackintosh is found as late as 1769. It's good to be found, folks, is it not? He had several children: Alexander, who succeeded, William, who succeeded his brother, John, Farquhar, and Donald. Also daughters Anne, Catherine, and Elizabeth. With the exception of William, none left issue. Alexander, the eldest son, succeeded and was extensively engaged like his uncle. So when it says succeeded, folks, that means he's inheriting his father's title and such, whatever there was. Succession. He may have been a successful businessman or something, or not, maybe not, but succeeding means he's the son that inherited, I believe. He was extensively engaged, like his uncle, Captain William, and other members of his family in cattle dealing, being known as Alistair Rua Nafela. That he was well worthy of the honor of being selected to lead the clan in 1745 and 6 is undoubted, and as he lived in Eastergask, the tradition that many of the men who fought at Culloden sharpened their swords on the singular Druidical standing stone or slab near Eastergask deserves some weight. His gallant conduct on that fatal day and his death on the field at the well, still bearing his name, is well known. It was part of the cruel system of the conquerors not to allow the bodies of the Highlanders to be carried away for interment by their friends, and consequently they were buried in trenches, whereof green covering is still to be seen. Excuse me a moment. I hope you're enjoying MacGillivray month. The ordinary place of sepulchre of the Dunmaglass family was and is at Dunlichty, but Dunmaglass friends feared the publicity of reinterring the remains so far distant and buried them quietly at Petty. I believe the roads were being watched, folks, is what's going on here. They didn't want to bring people too far from the battlefield just for fear of arrest because you're burying a rebel, I suppose. It is recorded in the Farr collection. Actually, I'm not going to read this section, I'm sorry. That's a very lengthy business, but we may go back to that. There's a couple of, letters here which I wanted to read. William MacGillivray, a minor, succeeded his brother Alexander to a very embarrassed estate. William McIntosh, younger of Holme, took charge, and even a new suit of clothes for the boy required grave consideration. He afterwards, through the interest of Lady Mackintosh, got a captaincy in the Gordon Regiment commanded by Colonel Stats Longmorris, and though a vassal, he was most meanly prevented by the Earl of Moray in 1757 from raising, if he could, recruits out of the lordships of Petty and Strathdairn. So he tried to raise some rebels, I think, under in the shadows, and was prevented. He saw a good deal of service at home and abroad, and was a most kind-hearted man in his family. Originally, the half of Inverary was his haunts. Originally part of Kilvarrock estate, but occupied for generations by the MacPhails. His three brothers, John, Farquhar, and Donald, had to make their way in the world. See, they were not of issue. They were not of succession. Of issue means you had children. John, who died at sea in the end of 1778, amassed a considerable fortune, which ultimately fell to John X and set up the family in a strong position. From Captain MacGillivray's numerous letters, I select two as specimens, both being addressed to Provost John McIntosh of Inverness. This is the first letter. London, February 1779. Dear Sir, I wish you joy, nay, double joy, both on account of your marriage with my cousin, Miss Mackintosh, Aberader, and the addition she has made to your family. She was but a child when I left the country, but promised a great deal of sweetness of temper, a very necessary ingredient in the matrimonial estate. And I know your own disposition so well that I cannot hesitate to pronounce you a happy couple. I flattered myself that I would have the pleasure of seeing your happiness, but my fortune seems now to place that at a distance, as I expect to return soon to Georgia to recover as much of my property as possible. I hope it is by this time in the hands of the King's troops, without which I have no business there, as I am under sentence of death should they catch me. Please remember me most affectionately to Mrs. Mackintosh, your sisters and brother-in-law, and believe me to be sincerely, dear sir, your friend and humble servant, Will MacGillivray. This is the second letter from him. Though I hear but seldom from your quarter, yet you and all friends are as near my heart as ever, and every favorable account warms my heart with joy. But the present occasion of my writing you is of different nature, and though expected distressing, it must be felt like everything of the kind for a length of time. I mean my good sister Katie's death. She well deserved of me and everybody. Her change must be happy. Her illness and death and the illness of my older sister must be attended with expense. I wrote my sister, who has suffered much on the occasion, considerable time ago, and have received no answer in my offer of what she may stand in need of. But as I have no intimation in that head, I shall be much obliged to you, and if you have Will let my sister Annie have what money she may want by the first opportunity, acquaint her accordingly. Upon letting me know the amount, I will order your bill to be answered at London. Mrs. MacGillivray joins in wishing you and yours, our friends and acquaintance, about the Ness, many and very happy returns of the season. Captain William died in 1783, leaving 2 children, John Lachlan and Barbara Ann, both very young. Then there's lots of lists of, like I said, tenancies, and it's a little bit interesting. The McLeans and McTavishes and MacGillivrays, McIntoshes, Duncans, lots of McIntoshes, MacGillivrays, McBains, all these tenants of, I believe, of the Dunmaglass Estates. Mackenzie, I see, another McTavish, Miller, Fraser, McBaith, which is really Bev, perhaps, that's a TH. Don't get me on the Gallic. MacGillivray again. So I just wanted to find the other section I wanted to yeah, so most of the rest is people's wills and how much money they left and such, and it's going to be pretty dry. So we'll stop there again. I'll try to see if I can sum this up for us in the next section. All right, touch not this cat.